Welcome to the Stranger Conversations podcast, where we explore the lives and lessons of those around us, hidden in plain sight. I'm your host, Tay Jones. Welcome to the Stranger Conversations podcast. Today, my guest is Master Preston Ducati, a 7th degree black belt in Kenpo Karate, who owns multiple martial arts studios around the United States. Preston is not only an entrepreneur, but also a consultant, an inventor, and the author of Breakthrough, where he teaches how to use the principles and philosophies of an ancient art and how that can benefit every aspect of your everyday life. So, truth be told, Preston and I, we've been friends for many years now, and although through all the years of our friendship, really none of it has ever revolved around martial arts, which is a big part of your life. So, as a result, we've never dove into that portion of your backstory and kind of your martial arts roots, and that's exactly what I'm hoping to do here today, because I know your work, Preston, means a lot to you, and it's changed your life, and I know you use martial arts to change the lives of others as well. So I'm really looking forward to kind of going down that path with you. And Preston Ducati, welcome to the Stranger Conversations podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, me too. Like I said, we've been friends for some time. I don't even know, probably a decade, and
at least.
Yeah, at least. And we used to be neighbors. We've had a lot of kind of chance encounters that have brought us together, and we have spent a lot of time together over the course of these last 10 years at least. So really, like I said, really looking forward to having you on the podcast. And I know that you are up in the Seattle area, but you grew up in California, is that correct?
I did.
Yeah, what part of California?
Originally in San Diego, Pacific Beach area. Lived there for till I was 24 or so, and then moved up to LA in 10 years or so, and then been living here for about 20 years. So yeah, Southern California, originally born and raised.
Yeah, SoCal kind of kid. What brought you from California up to Washington?
Just looking for something different. I really liked the idea of having a change of seasons a little bit, something a little different. You grew up one way with a certain climate on a regular basis. It's kind of exciting to, even though a lot of people will be like, why did you leave sunny San Diego to come up to rainy Seattle? But
right.
It's beautiful up here. I mean, it really is. You get a different vibe with the green and the mountains and the changes was a nice thing to add into my life at the time. And so I still love it. Yeah.
You don't get too much changes in scenery down in Southern California. It can be kind of a lot of the same. And over here where I'm
even though it's beautiful.
Yeah, gorgeous. And that's kind of how I feel about living here in Arizona, where I'm at now. I miss the seasons, but at the same time, it's hard to beat it, because right now it's 76 degrees outside. And you do things in the winter instead of the summer. The summer are the times you hunker down, whereas everywhere else in the world, you spend all your good times in the summer.
Yeah.
So you spent quite a bit of your early life in Southern California. Is that where you started kind of your martial arts journey, or did that happen when you came up into Washington?
No, I started in California, in San Diego. I was 17 years old. I started when I was a little kid too, but I didn't do it for too long. Me and my brother did it together for a very short period of time. But I started again when I was 17 and kept going. And I started in San Diego, signed up at a studio down there, and kept going and training, and then worked my way into learning how to teach, and then obviously moving on from that.
Yeah. So, and you're currently a 7th degree black belt, and that's a master in the art.
Yeah, and the Kenpo art, generally 5th degree is considered master, and then it's working your way up. But usually that's after about 25 years of training. So it's and I've been at this for 36 years now. So it's like,
yeah, that's just impressive. Most people don't, kind of follow one passion in their life for 35 years.
That's
It
good.
takes a lot of dedication. I mean, what does that look like when you start martial arts? Obviously, you're 17 and you're kind of just doing that. You're learning how to teach martial arts, etc. But what does it look like to kind of move through the ranks, especially in some of the higher ranks? How long have you been a seventh degree black belt? I guess that would be my first question.
That was relatively recent, about a year and a half ago.
Okay, so
So I continue, even though at my instructor level and my master level training, I'm still a student as well. So I keep up on my training just like any other student would be. But it's difficult, like you said, to keep on with something that long and to do martial arts, especially when it's tough. There's ups and downs. There's tough things. There's times you get hit. There's times you want to give up. There's times it's grueling. It's tough. It creates that tenacity of the tiger that you just can't. You got to get back up every time you go down, right? And we learn that in life, but we definitely learn it in the martial arts a lot. So it's reminded of that on a regular basis.
yeah, so a lot of life lessons have come out
Yeah.
of martial arts
Oh
for you.
yeah.
And
Yeah, the history and philosophy of the art is something dates back thousands of years, and it keeps that tradition, that strength of the art alive. And then you have the mental and physical elements, and it all kind of ties in together: mind, body, spirit, all together.
yeah, I mean, everybody goes through hard times in their life. I think I
Mhm.
read it in your book right here. I think it's up there behind you, but I also have it here, a signed copy from yours truly. Appreciate that. And actually,
Yeah,
this book is completely full. I don't know if you can see if I flip through, but I don't know if you can see all the highlights. There's a lot of
yeah,
stuff
I see it.
inside. A lot of stuff inside this book. Great, you know, just mindset type things. A lot of
Mhm.
great quotes in here, and it does say in your book that you kind of had gone through a really hard time around, age 44, kind of financial ruin. Um, do you think that martial arts kind of helped you through that portion of your life?
Absolutely. Absolutely. The principles and philosophies that I learned through training in the art for years uh, definitely was a foundation of support through something like that, through anything really. It just it helps you realize that you are stronger than you think sometimes, and that you're smarter than you think sometimes. You're more capable than you think sometimes, and you can make it through. You'll get through this. Just keep your head up and face it and go for it.
Was there ever a time that you kind of thought you would give up doing martial arts, or has it always been kind of the driver of you? Like, hey, when I'm down, I go to the gym, or have you ever just said, you know what, I need a break from this?
No, I mean, there's times when I'm training harder. Times when I'm training less, and I try to mix up the workouts that I do from the gym to other activities to mix up the overall training for my mind and body. But martial arts has always been something I've loved. I did stop when I was a beginner, down when I still lived in San Diego, and I remember my instructor called me. It was about 2 months of time that I stopped for. My instructor called me. He said, "Hey, man, you got to get your butt in here." He had that kind of personality, just like, "Get your butt in here, dude. You know it's good for you." And I was like, he's right. I gotta get in there. And I just kept going. I never stopped since then. So I'm just thankful that somebody cared that much to just reach out and go, and say it in that way. You got to get in here. Just get in here. Do it. It's good
Yeah,
for you.
yeah, just do it. I mean,
Yeah.
were you? Sometimes people go into something like that, martial arts, for the discipline, or because they've been bullied. Was there anything like that, or was your life going another direction that kind of martial arts put you back on the right path? What was kind of the catalyst for getting you into it in the first place?
I always enjoyed watching the martial arts from the movie or TV perspective, and I was intrigued by it, and not just the movie and TV perspective, but and just the whole idea of it. And it was one of my goals when I was a kid. I wanted to be a black belt. I had no idea where I was going to go, how I was going to do that. I just knew that was before I even knew how to set goals, that was kind of one of my goals, right? And so it inspired me. There's tough times growing up with different things. I did get bullied. I did have situations where I needed to learn some things, and I had some scary moments in my life that I wish I had more training back then. And it feels good to know that I have the information, the knowledge, and the skill sets now to deal with different kinds of things, because I can't imagine not having that, but it's pretty powerful. And I started seeing that, and I started seeing the benefits as I started going along, and it just kept me going.
Yeah. I mean, not only does do the skills that you've learned, I mean, it makes you more capable, but I'm assuming confidence is probably a big part of that. Sounds like that was in your life, but you know, what else besides confidence, or what are some of the big things? Because right now, I mean, you're teaching children, adults, everybody to kind of come into that. I mean, what are the biggest positives that you see in changing for people that stick with it and actually go in and do the training and keep showing up every day?
There's a variety of things, obviously, but I think that if you're if you need help on your confidence, your self-esteem, or your just ability to find your own strength internally or externally, it builds you up. And if you're more on a level that you need to kind of be brought down a little bit, maybe you got too much. It could be you're aggressive, you're whatever. It can help you balance out. So it helps find that kind of middle road for people. It's kind of a good spot to be in, so that you're not too aggressive, you're not too, you know, a pushover, and don't stand up for yourself in many ways. So it finds that balance, I think, with people. And then obviously the fitness levels, the when it comes to losing weight or better focus, for children being able to do better in school and focus more, for adults being able to maybe get that raise at their job, because they are in just a better mode for themselves. They feel like they're just stronger mentally and physically themselves. They can take on things and focus more, and just find our strengths, keep those strong while improving our weaknesses is a big part, I believe.
Yeah, and you see a lot of those changes in your adult students as well, not just kind of the children going through it that are kind of learning life.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, a lot of like you said, even when it kind of goes into your work life, even just walking into a job interview and just having that confidence, and even physical fitness as well. Whenever you look good, feel good, as they
Yeah.
say,
Yeah.
you know that has
Yeah.
a lot to do with the confidence. Uh, you know, and kind of having that positive mindset. You're training people in martial arts? Are you training people in the dojo as their sensei in kind of a positive mindset? Do you do a lot of mindset type training in there on top
Yeah.
of the physical, combatives?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said earlier, it's a combination of mind, body, and spirit. So there's definitely that combination of what we say to ourselves matters. How we perceive ourselves, and how we are getting out there in the world and being kind to people and being aware of things, and all that builds a lot of important characteristics for the average person that I feel is kind of lacking in a lot of our society: the awareness, the kindness, the just overall compassion, or whatever you call it. It is something that keeps that strong, and that's so important. It really is so important in any society, in any age. um, it's important.
Yeah. And then the awareness piece of it, I do want to talk quite a bit. In the intro, they're talking about you being an inventor and what you've created through your company. And we're gonna talk about some of that, and kind of how awareness and being prepared falls into that. So can't wait to dive into that and talk a little bit more. But
Yes.
when it comes to doing like tough things, keep moving forward. Like I said, you had mentioned, that kind of financially ruined at age 44 and having to turn that around, later in life. And it sounds like martial arts was a big part of that. And just, how do you get through tough times? How do you push yourself forward to just keep moving and keep showing up?
That's a great question, because there's probably specific things, but a lot of it's just that if you decide that you're going to do something and there's no option to do anything else, then I think that's the big thing: is you got to make it stronger than anything else, right? If you decide you want to do a goal, or you decide you're going to get back up when you've been knocked down physically or mentally, there's only one choice. There's not a fallback. There's not an option two. That's what you do. And then once you know that's what you're going to do, then you start figuring out ways, and all of a sudden things start to come together that can help keep that going. But it doesn't matter who you are. You're still going to want to give up from time to time. You're still going to say, screw this. This is too hard. Should I keep doing this? And if it's a worthwhile, then you just know, and what you promised yourself you would do, you just do, and you just keep going. But that's hard. It's very difficult. It's not just those words sometimes make it like it's, and you hear other people talk about that. It's like, oh, it's easy. You just do this. In reality, it's freaking tough, but the outcome is, and the benefits and the life lessons that you learn from that are so powerful, and it becomes easier the next time because you know you could do it, and the success builds confidence. So if you did it once, you know, okay, if I went through an 8.5 hour black belt test, you know, I could do this, or if I went through that, I could do this. And you start just kind of piling those things up, and it ain't so bad.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think one of the quotes I'd kind of written down out of your book too, you know, our experiences create our purpose. And that's kind of what you said. You know, you get through it once and you realize that you can, you know, you're building upon all of that experience, and, you know, that your purpose can be, hey, keep going. It's worth it. I can do it. You know, adding to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
8.5 hour black belt test. Is that how long those can be?
Not normally. That was, that was back in when they were a little tougher, and I think a lot of things were tougher back then, but we just did it. You know, I have bruises all along my ribs, and from getting kicked while I was doing push-ups and all. I mean, just It was brutal. It was brutal, but after getting through that, you're just say to yourself, well, that was crazy, but I did it. And something to be said about that, to just not giving up and getting through it. And again, the life lessons that come with that. I was 22 years old at the time. Yeah. I didn't know any better either. So I was like, this is how it is. That's fine.
Yeah. Something tells me that that's not how the black belt tests work at your dojos. You're not kicking people while they're doing push-ups.
No. But it's still tough. I mean, it's mentally, physically draining, and as it should be. It should be tough. It should be something that not everybody can do, because it is something that you have to find that within and keep going. And then again, those things you take for the rest of your life. I tell people at the end of the test, there's a few big moments in your life that happen. I mean, buying a house, having children, getting married, different kinds of things like that, right? Black belt test is up there as well. People remember that day for the rest of their life. It's a big moment, because not a lot of people that sign up get to that level, because it's tough to keep going, to get to go through the ups and downs, and to achieve a goal like that. It's an awesome thing. So
how long does that take? Say somebody just walks in off the street. How long does it take typically for someone to earn a black belt?
Well, it depends on the age, and it depends on the ability of the person, but generally between like 5 and 7 years or so, depending upon the person. Sometimes longer. Very rarely is less than that. But that's usually about the average.
Yeah. So definitely that's a proud moment for people. And what happens when they get to that point and they achieve a black belt, they earn it? I mean, I'm assuming it's an earned thing. I mean, they wear it with pride, but what does that look like? What do you do for people when they get it? Is there a celebration for it, or is it just, hey, come in tomorrow and let's get back to work?
There is a celebration for it, and there's a ceremony we do at the end of a test, and so we also give them a sword with their a sword like this with the dragons on it.
Really?
And they get a sword with their name put on to commemorate the test.
Wow.
And so that they can have this as something that they can keep at their home somewhere, showing the hard work and effort they put into that, not just on the day of, but continuing forward, or what they've done up till then as well. So
Yeah, that's amazing. And I see your shirt here, Zen Dragon. That's your studios that you have, several different
Yes.
locations. Where all are your locations? I know you have quite a few up there in the Seattle area, but you have some elsewhere as well, right?
Yeah, we have one more in the state of Minnesota, Minneapolis area.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and looking to expand eventually. Yeah, to more.
absolutely. Well, that's pretty great. I would love to have a sword. That's like every boy's
It's
dream, you know? Like when you were talking about kind of growing up and getting, you just see, in the movies and everything, the martial arts. And I remember going and, I did a little bit of karate when I was a kid, like most people do, but I did not stick with it. I did some other things. But I remember we used to go to the grocery store and we'd go straight to the magazine rack and we would just read through like Black Belt magazine. And they had
yeah, yeah.
used to be able to buy like ninja outfits, you could
Oh
send
yeah.
in and they could say I never got one, but that was my boyhood dream, one day I would be cool enough to wear a ninja outfit and have a grappling hook
And the
and
throwing stars.
that's
Yeah, and the
oh,
grappling hook.
absolutely, yeah, cuz that's what everybody does in a fight.
That's right.
Yeah,
Yes,
but it is
exactly.
very it is a memorable thing, and I think a lot of young men and young boys, just men in general. I mean, they kind of have that that warrior spirit, just kind of innately built into them. What do you call it? Tiger? You call it tiger or something? I think I forget.
Tenacity of the tiger, warrior spirit's good too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
tenacity of the tiger. I think that's built into a lot of men, but I think maybe overlooked sometimes with women. What when you're training, do you have a lot of women students and young
Yeah,
girls?
we actually, yeah, we do. We do a lot more nowadays too, and that's a good thing. I think it's a tribute to the instructors being better at teaching a variety of people. I think for a while there, 20, 30 years ago, women didn't step in a dojo, or for that matter, older people didn't step in a dojo because it was like the young,
Yeah,
and that's changed over the years, and that's good because it's showing that the martial arts really is for everybody. Everybody should be doing it in some way, shape, or form, or at least try it. We have ages 4, sometimes 3
hmm.
to 89 is our oldest student, and he loves it. 89 years old,
Wow.
So, and we have a very good mix of uh, boys and girls, young ladies, teenagers, boys and girls, and adults, as well as men and women. So it's a lot of people getting a lot of benefits and holding it as their own. Right, the martial arts is about something that there's, even though you're in a group activity, we do personalized instruction, so we do a little different than the average dojo. So they get a personalized approach, so we can tailor the art to the student. But you're working out with somebody, but it's that individual experience you get for yourself that you get to take that home, and that's unique and awesome.
Yeah. The I would assume maybe I'm incorrect, but I would bet it probably really helps you know women to feel that confidence. It probably helps them kind of walk through life with a lot more confidence. And I feel like women just in general have to deal with more BS than a lot of men do. Men are pretty easy at blowing things up. Like, yeah, it's whatever. It's just right off the shoulder. But I would think that would, and I don't know, maybe is that the case? Do you see that it changes the lives of
Yeah,
women maybe more than men, or
I don't know if it's more, but I think it depends on the person. But absolutely, I mean, the some people, whether they're men or women or younger or older, it's different things. But there's definitely some that just it changed their life, and it, I think especially with women too, just realizing they're stronger than they think they are sometimes, and to have that empowerment, to feel that, and to kick that bag, or to go through that class and go, wow, I did that, you know.
right?
And so whether it's um, a man that just is low self-esteem, low confidence, that just is, or a woman, or an older person, or a teenager that is just walking around, moping around, that change can make them, first of all, less likely as a victim,
Hmm.
because they walk differently, they talk differently, they carry themselves, which we'll get into about awareness in a way, in a little bit. But yeah, it just changes the whole idea behind the person a little bit with time, and depending upon the person, because not everybody continues. It might not be right for everybody. But even if they train for a short period of time, we do women's self-defense courses sometimes that are smaller amount of time that they're there, but they can still get benefits from that as well. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's important, kind of what you said there, that feeling empowered and doing things that they didn't realize that they could do. I think that's
Yeah.
important. Sometimes when you do things that you didn't know you could, you get that sense of capability. And I know that you do some empowerment consulting. And I know that you've done it with groups of women specifically, and I know that because I've helped
Yes.
you along, and it was very impressive to see. Talk a little bit about some of the work that you do for individuals, companies, for that kind of consulting work and to doing exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I base it. That's actually what started the book idea. Is I started writing down ideas as I started doing these different seminars to teach principles and philosophies of the martial arts and how they apply to business or just life in general. And I started writing. Notes were getting longer and longer and longer. And I started realizing, hey, there's a book here. Maybe there's a book. Maybe I'll write a book. But it was inspired because people were reaching out because they needed something that was different than the norm corporate America training stuff, something that they can inspire, just that empowerment that I have people do different martial arts moves a little bit. I have them break through stuff. I call it breaking through goal, like a goal they want to accomplish or something that might be in their way. And we smash through a board. And after they do that, they're like, oh, they're like, I did that, and it's just something that a lot of people have never experienced. And when they go through something like that, it's pretty powerful. And when they do something that they never thought they would ever do in their life in a good way,
Right.
it's pretty exciting. And that's my goal, is to introduce people that the martial arts is not just about just punching and kicking. There's so many other benefits and just value to understanding it more. And that's my goal with these types of workshops.
Yeah, and that breakthrough piece of it, like you said, breaking the board, that was, and that I helped you with that, and that, man, that was an impressive thing. Just to see the changes, kind of going in, and I don't want to give up too much of what that you do, but just kind of writing some things on the board that you need to break through, and then physically breaking through some of those barriers that they thought they had. You could see, 0 to 100 at the end. The confidence level in the room was quite impressive.
Yeah. Yeah. And that sticks with them. They remember that moment. A lot of people will take that board and hang it up somewhere and go, just to remind them of that. And that sticks with them. So the next time they think they maybe can't do something or that something's tough in their life, they go, well, I went through that. Not just
Absolutely.
that board part, but the other stuff that we, and it's like, I could do this. I got this.
Yeah, and just physically hitting and kicking. Sometimes that's scary, especially hitting. Hey, here's a hard piece of wood. Just that first step of doing the thing that you think might be impossible and
Yeah.
giving it your best shot, and then seeing positive results. That's great. That's the stuff that changes lives. And I when I helped you with that, I think people are probably still talking about that experience today. And that was a room full of CEOs, a lot of powerful women that were doing this retreat. And yeah, it was great to see. And that was really the kind of the first and only thing that I've ever seen you in your element doing. That's something true, huh? Like that with, the martial arts. And that's why, another great reason I wanted to kind of have you on the podcast and talk about some of these things. So you wrote the book, Breakthrough. That, like you said, you just started writing some notes down. And, maybe there's a book. What's the process? That has to be pretty difficult to kind of put that idea onto paper and then actually having a book, like a finished product.
Yeah.
Maybe just talk a little bit about that. And there's a lot of lessons in that book. I would assume that you probably learned yourself by writing the book. It was probably a transformational experience for yourself.
It was a very unique experience that I had to really look at. I had to look in a mirror, and I try to do that regularly because the mirror reflects the truth, right? But it's sometimes hard to talk about yourself because we're we're helping people, we're doing this, we're doing that, we're going about our day. But then when we reflect on a story about yourself, or a story that of the things that you've learned through the years, it's really a good thing. It's a good path to go through. You end up reflecting in the past, and appreciating, having gratitude for all the things you've been able to accomplish or learn.
Yeah.
And so that hard part was when the red lines came from the editor of the book, or the person helping organize the book. And then I remember him saying, don't get discouraged, because there's a certain way you got to write a book, otherwise you lose people, right? So you want to make sure there's a flow to the book. I had to learn that. There's a lot of learning lessons in writing a book, because you don't just put words on a paper and then go, hey, there we go, it's done.
Right, exactly.
But you go through this process, and there's times like that I'm like, okay, maybe I shouldn't be writing a book. I shouldn't be doing it. Why am I doing this? Like, why? And then you go, no, I said I was going to do it, and I'm going to do it, and I'm going to finish it. So, and there's going to be lessons learned, and there's going to be something I take away from this in a lot of ways. So it was an interesting process, and I loved the process, but there was times I did not like it.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, that's kind of the whole tenacity and breaking through. You're right. That's got to be very discouraging when you think, man, this is great, and then someone hands you back, like you said, the red lines, and you're like, oh, apparently this is not very good. But I think that's important. You know, like he said, the person who's giving you those I guess tips, you know, they've done it before, they know what works, and they say, hey, you don't get discouraged. That probably happens with everybody, you know, and to work with people and work through that process. But I could see how that would be very discouraging. But I'm glad that you finished the book and you wrote it. It's a great read. There's a lot of great things in there. I did write down a couple quotes, other quotes here that I thought were pretty important. One of them was the experiences create our purpose. There's another one that hit me really, really good too. It says, when you are learning, be learning, and when you are leading, be leading. Let me talk about that a little bit, because I'm sure you do a lot of leadership in your dojos, running these multiple businesses, but also leading your students. So, what exactly do you mean by that?
Well, I think when people do something like the martial arts, or really anything, for a period of time, you think you know more than you do. And we don't think about, that maybe we don't know. And so, especially as teachers, that we need to take off our teaching cap and be a student when it's time to be a student, because we always have to be a student in life, not just martial arts. That could apply to anything. But I think it's important for people, with whatever they know or whatever passion that they're following, to always remember they're a student of life as well. And we can learn from so many people. It doesn't have to be executive at the company. It doesn't have to be a particular person that's higher in rank or higher in status or whatever. It could be your children. It could be all kinds of people. And so I am a big advocate of always being in a position where, what can I learn from people? And then how can I take that? And when I do have my, when you're learning, be learning, when you're leading, be leading, when I need to lead, that's the time to apply all that stuff. I still learn from the experience, but it's like, you need to be on stage. You need to be your best from, and gather all that, what you've taken from the learned experiences, and apply it to be your best that you can be for whatever group, person, or whatever you're in front of. And I think that's important, very important as far as application of that saying.
Yeah. And, I think people have experienced that a lot. I think I've experienced that quite a bit myself, but I never really heard it said like that. And I thought that was a great quote, great explanation of that. Yeah, because you can kind of get caught up in yourself and think, hey, I know everything. But yeah, there's a time to learn and there's a time to lead. The tenacity and gratitude, another thing that I learned from you.
Like, you got your coin?
These coins here, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it takes. And I know that you, for many years, you've kind of had this thought of two things in life, right? Tenacity and gratitude. And so I just want you to explain that a little bit, and like the kind of the story behind the coin and the rock.
Yeah, I was actually listening to a podcast or radio show or something, and Henry Winkler
The
was
Fonz, yeah,
talking on this. But
yeah,
yeah, the
okay,
Fonz. He was talking on that, and the people that were talking to him asked him what he seems to be a very happy and just kind of go with the flow, or I don't know what you call it, but just very grateful guy in general. I've never got the chance to meet him. Would love to meet him someday. And and he said that I live by two words: tenacity and gratitude. Tenacity to keep me going, keep me that tenacious kind of attitude to go after what I want in life, and then gratitude, being able to feel gratitude and not let myself get overly distracted or whatever along the way. So having that, I have that coin, and then I have a gratitude, a rock that displays the gratitude that my daughter gave me, and I keep that. I have both of those. I carry it with me every day, and I try to remind myself on a regular basis. And I like those two words together. It's kind of like the yin and the yang, you know,
mm-hmm.
and the balance of the tenacity and gratitude, because both are important. Tenacity is good, but without gratitude, it's not as good, and the other way around too. I think they both balance each other pretty well.
Yeah, and I think that that is gratitude. That's definitely something that, it's easy to just kind of go through life, and even if you're not, oh well, I'm not doing that. Da, 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 da. I think we kind of touched on it before, but I've even told people in the past, people, you kind of get down on yourselves, so like, oh, this isn't going right, that's not going right, that's not going right. I've actually told people, hey, why don't you sit down and write all the things that did go good this year? And you probably shock yourself. Probably be surprised at how many things actually. Oh wow, I've accomplished this. I've accomplished that. This happened to me. That just to focus more on the good than the bad. But even though, I mean, gratitude, that's something that's very easy if you don't practice it kind of on a daily basis. It's hard, and
it is hard, and it's also hard to be grateful for the good, the bad, and the ugly in life.
Yeah.
Part I think is people are great. It's easier. For some, depends on like what the situation you were talking about. People are it's hard to find anything good in their life, but if they sat down and actually wrote down, yes, they would find plenty of stuff that's good too.
Yeah.
But the bad stuff that happened made you who you are, and that's something to be grateful for as well, right? I mean, there's times in your life that everybody's lives that we had just moments like, what just happened? Why? But you learn something from it. We usually learn more from those crazy experiences than the good experience, because the lesson stays longer, right?
Absolutely.
Hopefully that's the goal. It doesn't always happen, but that's the goal. And I think that's a big part of gratitude as well, is just expanding that out and bringing the scope farther out on what we're grateful for, because there's lots.
Yeah. Yeah. And having something like a physical reminder, like you said, the rock in your pocket, to just kind of bring you back and say, hey, there's a lot to be thankful for here. A lot have happened, and and that's a great point with the bad things in life. A lot of those lessons that you learn, they were bad at the time, but they turned out to be good. I often say that with parenting. I think all parenting is good parenting. A lot of people get on themselves. Oh, I'm a bad parent. I'm this or that, or my parents were bad. Well, yeah, but you learn some things that you want to emulate, and then you will learn a lot of things that you don't want to show for your children. So even in the bad times, you're learning how to be a better parent, even on the bad things, because you know what not to do at that point.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So writing the book, daunting, taking an idea from your head, putting it on paper, going through the struggle, the revisions, putting out a final product. Now I really want to talk about the inventor side of you and your company, your new company, Hammer Defense. And what you do is you make the world's first go anywhere self-defense phone case. And you might think, hey, why hasn't anybody thought of that before? And that's a great question. And you did think of it, and you've brought an idea to market. I do have a couple options, or a couple examples here. So the phone case with the striking corners on it, and the silicone cover, so it not only protects your phone, but it also protects yourself. So what brought up the idea? Let's start with that. Where did that idea even come to your brain?
I think it came in random spurts, but the main idea was that I feel like everybody should be able to have the means to protect themselves wherever they go. So if they travel, I carry various abilities for self defense or various self defense, if you will, or weapons. But you can't carry those everywhere you go. I mean, there's limitations travel. There's limitations even in the cities that you live in on carrying certain self defense tools. So having that to where you can literally carry it anywhere you want to go is important. And with a little bit of training, you can utilize natural motions to be able to use it as well as important. So gross motor skills rather than trying to learn a lot of fine motor skills, I think is important. It does take training. It does take practice, just like anything. Nothing is just like, oh, it's instant and you could do this and you could do that. No problem. You know, a lot of people will say things like that when it comes to training or whatever, but anything you do is going to take some time and effort. But having that around is huge, because knowing that's in your hand and available at any time rather than having to go get to it. Mm-hmm. There's other things you can go get to if you need to. This is not a tell-all of this is the only self-defense tool you need. That's not the idea. It's an enhancement to whatever it is you normally carry. And I think that's important for people to have. Yeah. To have that peace of mind, have that knowledge that that's there if they need it.
Yeah. I mean, in today's world, everything's mobile. You know, you've got this in your hand pretty much all day long. You can't even go to a restaurant without seeing people. It's in their hand. But to have that tool to be able to turn it into, a tool of opportunity when it's needed. I mean, that's great. You know, just to kind of, like you said, have the mindset for it, to be able to have the tool available to you whenever that you might need it. So, but what does it take? So you had the idea. How long did it take from idea to pushing it through to an actual product on the market?
Years.
Yeah.
It took years. Yeah. It's the ups and downs and all the things that go along with creating anything goes back to the principles before. There's going to be things that it's going to be times where you're just like, why am I doing this? Yeah. Why am I doing this? But you just keep going. And, when it comes to production or design, or when it comes to where it's going to be made, when it comes to the costs, when it comes to all these factors that go on, it becomes a lot. And you find people that can help. People come in to play that can help get those things across the line. And it's pretty awesome when that happens. But it's tough. It's the back and forth, just like little bits at a time, not expecting it to happen right now because it takes time. But it's worth it. It's one of those that's the worthwhile kind of goal. It's important. When it's important, it'll happen. It might not happen exactly when I want it to. Yeah. But it will happen, and it will be something that more people are going to be carrying with them, because it's an important thing to have for anyone.
Yeah. Know? I mean, and it's got to be a little bit of your baby. I can imagine going through years of, from idea to market and having that. One of the things, you mentioned, you can't take a lot of tools places. I mean, I've been told, I was in Washington, D.C. once, and I had a pocket knife, and I couldn't even take a pocket knife into a building. I was like, oh, yeah. I didn't even think of that. It's a weapon. So this tool, that you've created, you can take that pretty much anywhere, right?
I've traveled around the world with it, and taken it lots and lots of places where it's safe to carry. It's not going to hurt you carrying it, and it's safe to carry anywhere to where it's not going to get taken away from you. I think that's an important thing. We all have the right to protect ourselves, whether it's this or whether it's whatever. We all have the right to protect ourselves. I think that's something that I think society needs to be more comfortable with. Just because we carry self-defense tools doesn't mean we're paranoid. Mm-hmm. Sometimes people think, well, you must be paranoid. It's like, no, I'm not anymore. Right. Yeah. I mean, reality is I'm prepared prepared does not mean paranoid. They're two very different things. And being prepared is just like keeping extra water at your house or keeping extra food just in case you need it. This is a preparing. It's an important part of life, preparing for maybe you never need it. Maybe you never, ever need it, right? But what if you need it once? And there's that old saying of I'd rather be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, right? So being a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war, meaning that I'd rather have the skill, or I'd rather have the skills and be able to use it rather than not need it, right? So
Absolutely.
or have the skills and not have to use it, sorry, rather than not have the skills and have to use it. That's a tough situation to be in, and I've had to use my self-defense in my life. Knowing that it's there is huge. It's very empowering, and I'm very grateful that I have that. Taking this to the next level of having a self-defense tool rather than just relying on the body and the mind is important, because now you have something else that you can utilize. It's an enhancement to this, not a replacement.
Yeah. And I think maybe also back to the confidence thing, just having that peace of mind and the confidence that, at least I'm just not just me. I have a tool, right? I have a tool that can help me out when needed. So walk us through a little bit, because I know you have some patents on this, correct? Or trademarks? Yes, yeah. So on the edge, it's kind of hard to tell here, but you have this and you call it the shark tooth, right? On each edge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. So
shaped like a shark tooth kind of thing. It came up with the word of just like it's somewhat like that. It's not exactly, but and to think of like the bite of a shark tooth, right?
Yeah.
So it has we've broken boards with those and bricks with those and done all kinds of demonstrations, smashing watermelons and things like that the normal phone can't do. So we came up with the phrase shark tooth because it's like a boom, it's a bite, and it can protect yourself. Like you said earlier, protect the phone, which is important because you want to be able to call 911 after.
Absolutely. Right. That's a great point. And I would bet that this was not the first idea.
No.
Right.
No.
There were probably several iterations of this before you came to the final product.
Yeah. We had to test it in a lot of different ways to make sure it was going to do what we said it was going to do. Mm-hmm. And so that took a back and forth kind of stroll back and forth, or a little bit of a game to figure out what that was. And when we finally got to the final product, it did what we expected it to do, and even more. So,
yeah. And with these, this is the self-defense phone case. What is the website that somebody could go to and check it out? And I'll link it in the show notes as well.
Yeah. hammerdefenseproducts.com.
Great. And do you have aspirations to have a few more, right? Products? Are there anything else that you have in the works? Hopefully coming out soon?
Coming out soon is going to be the tactical pen. That's not an invention because there's plenty of tactical pens out there. That's going to be called...
It's going to be what? Sorry, it looked like I cut out to say it's going to be what?
It's going to be called the Business.
The Business.
Because it's going to be a nice, sleek business pen, but also very good for self-defense. So we have that, and we have a couple others we're working on as well to come up with products that, again, everyday carry kind of concept. We have a phrase that says the everyday carry for the everyday people, so it's not a matter of just certain people carrying this kind of stuff, just anybody being able to have the means to have it around and use it if ever needed.
Yeah. And we mentioned awareness previously. What's the most important part about being aware, in your instance? I would bet a lot of people have been unaware and have had things happen to them that have brought them into your dojos. Wild guess, but maybe.
Yes. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And so, what is it to be aware, to be prepared? What exactly is that? What are some of the tips that you have for people to kind of be aware of their surroundings and be ready for things?
Well, just whenever you're walking, you're driving, you're in a downtown, anywhere where other people are, you just want to keep your head up, head on a swivel kind of thing, look around, just be aware of what's going on. Don't have a a hoodie on and sunglasses and headphones on and completely, it's okay to want to just disappear from people, but probably not in a crowd
Yeah.
or in an area that you need to kind of be aware of what's going on, not just for self-defense, but for safety. You might walk into a car in a parking lot that's driving really fast through and they hit you. It's not just about protecting yourself from somebody trying to hurt you. It's just awareness of everything, right? When you're driving, it's awareness of other cars, right? You're supposed to be looking around and seeing what's going on, checking your mirrors, stuff like that. Same kind of concept when you're walking around town. Don't look like you don't belong there. Don't look like you're showing lack of confidence by having your shoulders shrugged over and your head down, and you're just, you know, um, remember that cartoon Droopy?
I don't. I don't
dog,
know that one.
The dog.
I don't
I'm
know
a little
that one.
older maybe, but there's a dog, the Droopy, and I'm Droopy, and you don't want to be that, or Eeyore from but anyway, just be aware. Just have have good posture. Be aware of what's going on. You're not walking around like this. Think like, okay, who's looking at me? And that's, again, it's not being paranoid. It's being prepared. So
and maybe
being prepared and having awareness goes hand in hand. They go together.
Yeah, and maybe self-awareness too.
Self-awareness. Yes.
I could say,
yes.
And maybe in just your capabilities, but whenever you hear about martial arts, karate, it's self-defense, and maybe the best defense is to not get in the fight in the first place.
That's correct.
That's correct. Is that a big piece of some of what you teach? To, hey, be aware of your surroundings. You're not going to go out there and get beyond your skis and start a fight. Right? This is self-defense.
Yeah. I think more people that train in martial arts are less likely to get in a fight because they know what it takes, first of all, because both people are going to get hurt in some way. I mean, if you don't get hurt, you're lucky. Yeah. And but hopefully you're the one standing afterwards. But at the same time, you walk differently, you carry differently. So you're not picked. Generally speaking, you're not picked because people look for somebody who's distracted. People look for people that look like and it doesn't matter the size of the person. Plenty of big people have been, big guys have been picked because they're just kind of moping. So be aware. Even a smaller person, male or female, can be not picked versus somebody bigger and stronger just because of the way they carry themselves and their awareness of their surroundings. And they see people, they look people in the eye. Some need to, they are just they avoid things if they need to. They walk to the other side of the street. If they notice something going on up here in this part of the street, they just go, I'm just going to go this way, casually walk that way, So there's all kinds of skill sets, but I think the big thing is just knowing what's around you and checking every now and then, not being paranoid though, but just being aware and know what's in front of you, know what's around you, know where you are, plan ahead, even drinking enough water, food, so that you're not, in a mode of like, I haven't eaten in 5 hours, I'm like stressed and you're hangry mode, right? That can affect your awareness. Anything can affect your awareness. So it's a matter of making sure you're drinking enough water, eating enough food, and making sure that if you're going to a place that's different, maybe research a little bit beforehand and know where you're going so you don't get lost and confused. And that can also make it look like you're not as confident as you normally are. So
yeah, great point. And actually, in my previous career, that's what I used to tell people quite a bit. Just don't be a good victim.
Yeah.
People are looking for that. Even like, it doesn't matter if you're just small. If you look aware, they're going to go for the person who might be a little bit bigger, who is an easier victim. I always tell people too, hey, turn your lights on outside. If your house is the only one with the lights on, they're going to go to your neighbor's house. So, and if your neighbors turn their lights on, they're going to end up in the next town. So just
correct.
Keep pushing it, out of your circle. And I think that's a great point. Just don't look like a victim. Don't be a good victim for somebody.
That's right.
Don't be the sheep walking along with their head down, eating the grass.
That's right. There's a part in the book that says that it's a little book, my book Breakthrough, of the death of awareness. And it talks about, it's like the awareness is going away. We got to keep it. We got to keep it going, because otherwise we're going to have a lot of sheep, and a lot of people prey on sheep. So we got to, if we change that and flip that coin, it makes it different. And that's less crime, really. Think about it. If more people are able to be aware and stand up for themselves and take care of themselves, then that changes a lot. That with each person that does that changes our communities to be for the better. So, yeah.
That's great. Well, where's the best place for people to, kind of learn more about you and everything that you have going on, Preston? Zen Dragon, hammerdefenseproducts.com. What's the website for Zen Dragon?
Zendragon.com. Nice and easy.
Great. And I'm assuming you're, social media for all of your companies and everything. And
yes.
Yeah. Great. Well,
I have social media under Preston Ducati. I have social media under Master Ducati, and all our studios have the social media as well, along with Hammer Defense.
Great. Well, I'll make sure that I link everything into the show notes. So if there's anybody out there that wants to explore a little bit more about Preston, learn more about Master Preston Ducati and the things that he has available for you, and especially the phone case, it's a great everyday carry. Just be prepared. I think that's important. And one of the final things I want to say, I got this out of your book as well. Don't wait until you're at someone's funeral to articulate how much you appreciated that person in their lifetime. So I know, we've spent a lot of time together, but I just want you to know, that as a friend, you've always built me up. Your determination has always been, really contagious, and your personality really has always just helped to kind of push me to be a better person. And, I have no doubt that you're going to kind of continue to do that for others and everybody else that you're teaching in your dojos. And I want to conclude with that. Absolutely. I want to conclude with that too. One of the kind of the way that you conclude your book is to be strong, be bold, stay focused, and go break through. So I hope that this episode and your story has inspired a lot of people to, do just that. So really appreciate your time. Thank you for coming on the show, brother. And it's been a real pleasure to have you.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me. And that means a lot, what you said. Thank you.
Absolutely, man. All right. Great talking with you, Preston. Thank you for listening to my conversation with Master Preston Ducati. Preston is a great friend of mine. It was awesome to learn more about his martial arts background and how we can use the mindset and lessons martial arts provide to better our lives. If you'd like to connect with Preston, follow the links to his websites and social media in the show notes. If you'd like to support Preston and learn more about Hammer Defense's Go Anywhere cell phone case, visit hammerdefenseproducts.com. Make sure they know I sent you by using code TAYAZ12 at checkout. You'll also receive 10% off and free shipping on your next order. Don't forget to like, follow, share, and subscribe to the Stranger Conversations podcast wherever you're listening, as well as on social media at stranger.convo.pod so you don't miss out on the conversations to come. If you'd like to be my next guest, visit strangerconversationspodcast.com and sign up. I'd love to connect and share your story. Thanks for listening. I'm Tay Jones, and we'll chat later.